I think it's appropriate for me to welcome you all back. The clock says that it's about time to start. While I've been busy trying to instruct and I had lost track of time, I'm glad we woke up in time to be on time. So thank you all for coming back. This is our fourth and semi-final, I guess we'll call it that, because we're hoping that you can continue what you've learned and find a way to put it into practice. We're going to be working on that, the second section this evening. So as we get started, let's have a word of prayer. Father in heaven, we are grateful to be here in your house, thinking about the health that you have given us, the amazing bodies that are ours. We want to know how to best take care of them, and we ask that you will guide in our discussion. May what we learn benefit not just our neurons, but also our whole physiology as we adopt that which is true into our lifestyles and accept the improved health that you have for us. Thank you for being here and for guiding us as you have promised. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, tonight it's the health momentum principle. Momentum, what does that have to do with? Well, that's how fast you're moving, right? I think it's mass with speed together, and that gives you momentum. So it keeps you moving. Our objectives tonight are to explain the difference between the fast and slow way of lifestyle change. So is it fast momentum? Is it slow momentum? Understand the health momentum principle and be prepared to start an Eat Plants Feel Whole action plan. And as usual, we start with this little video. Oop, my mistake. I thought it was going to work. Yeah, you can see it. James had been in crisis. He was obese and had struggled for 13 years with type 2 diabetes. A year earlier, a cardiologist had recommended stents in his heart arteries, and he'd faced the unwanted prospect of triple bypass surgery. Then, James found a cardiologist who supported a plant-based diet approach, and James and his wife committed to a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. I met him 6 months later, shortly after he joined the Complete Health Improvement Program and the Diabetes Undone programs that I was helping with. We began working together to improve his health. He started exercising regularly and working with a plant-based nutritionist to plan balanced, whole food meals. It worked! Just 1 year later, he had lost almost 50 pounds, and his blood sugars returned to near normal. He'd been able to discontinue some medications and reduce the dosage on others. Not long ago, he proudly told me that he had just finished his first 5K run. He continues to work hard to reverse his diabetes and hopes to discontinue all medications in the near future. For those whose health requires an aggressive, whole food, plant-based lifestyle, I recommend an 18-day plan to get started. These should begin with what I call the therapeutic phase, during which you may eat a wide variety of whole plant foods while avoiding refined foods, extra oils, and excessive sugars. The therapeutic phase widens your food choices to create balanced, healthy, plant-based meals. For day 19 and beyond, you may either repeat the therapeutic phase for additional benefit or move on to the maintenance phase, where the rules relax a little, and fats and sugars don't have to be so limited. However, you should continue eating an abundance of minimally processed whole plant foods. Use small amounts of healthy oils that are minimally processed. The longer you stay in the therapeutic phase, the more noticeable your health benefits will be. This brings us to the fourth principle on the journey to wholeness. Do you want rapid change Or do you want the luxury of making slow changes? How quickly do you want to experience the health or healing effects of an improved lifestyle? The health momentum principle says that the faster you transition to a whole food, plant-based diet, the faster you'll experience the benefits. When you want to make a fast change, follow a strict therapeutic diet and avoid added sugars, oils, and refined foods. You'll start seeing results almost immediately. Once your health starts getting better, you can either stick with this way of eating or relax a little. If you decide that a slower transition works better for you, or if your family needs some time to adjust to this new eating plan, that's okay. Just remember that a slower transition means that the health benefits will take a little longer to notice. For the quickest results, embrace the rapid lifestyle change.
To apply the health momentum principle in the grocery store, make a list of the new ingredients you will need to transform your pantry and refrigerator. If you're going all in, you may need a complete overhaul. You may need to spend a bit at the beginning to get a supply of healthy products, but your grocery bill will likely be less over time, as simple plant foods generally cost less than processed food. To apply the health momentum principle in your kitchen, plan your menu for a week. If you're easing into lifestyle change, try changing only a couple of meals the first week or two. However, if you're going all in, you will want to create a brand new menu using some familiar plant foods and trying some new ones. Most people have about 15 go-to meals that they cycle through over weeks and months. Take a look at these recipes and see what healthy substitutes you can make for the less healthy ingredients. For example, swap meat for beans and white rice for quinoa. How would you use the health momentum principle if you're going out to eat? Some restaurants and even fast food allow you to substitute ingredients such as beans for beef. Many offer plant-based meat substitutes as well. Look for healthier options on the menu that reflect your new choices. You will enjoy them and your body will thank you for it.
People tend to approach lifestyle change in one of two ways: fast or slow. With the fast way, initial health changes are usually quite dramatic. If you have a lifestyle-related disease like obesity, diabetes, or heart disease, or if you experience a health crisis, intensive lifestyle change, the fast way will help you feel the positive changes quickly and give you the most dramatic results. On the other hand, the slow way might be best if you're not facing an immediate health crisis, if change is hard for you, or if you're transitioning with your family and they are resistant. Since the changes you experience will be more gradual as well, you may have a tendency to more easily slip back into your old way of eating. Making rapid change and going all in is often the easiest, least painful way to make a permanent change. If they are open to it, encourage your family and friends to join you as you transition to a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. Why? Because social support will help you maintain your resolve. You might consider starting a support group at your office or school or church so you can all encourage and support one another. Take some time, preferably at the beginning of the day, to reflect on your new lifestyle and the reasons you're making choices to improve your health. This is your why. Focus on the positive outcomes that you expect to see and choose to be the very best you can be. Well, I suppose that's another one of those nice little films. Of course, as I watch it, I remember the Sunday morning we spent putting those together. And certainly a good film crew. The film crew, I think, Small Box Media. Do you know Small Box Media? Because they're stationed right here in Chattanooga area, Collegedale, as a matter of fact. So, It's not It Is Written. Small Box Media is a kind of a separate one. So, yeah. So James was quite a fellow when he showed up in my office, and the film didn't give us an opportunity to learn everything about him. This is the guy that had this heavy chest pain in his chest one day, and I think his wife called the EMTs. They took him to the emergency room and said, "Yep, your cardiac enzymes are up. It looks like you're having an event." They did an angiogram and found one blood vessel 90% closed, another one 90%, and then I think 80% on the third one. And they said, "You need a procedure done." And they wanted to do a bypass. He wouldn't even let them put the stent in. He went home and said, "I'm going to do this without." Now, that sounds a lot like stubbornness to me, okay? And if I were him, and as I recommended to him later, I said, what? He decided to do a lifestyle change. He got Caldwell Esselstyn's book, Prevent Reverse Heart Disease, and he went 100% plant-based and 100% therapeutic. No oil. He said it took 2 weeks before the heaviness in his chest went away. I said, if it had been me, I would have had the procedure and then made the lifestyle change. It's a little risky to kind of live through that, but he did. And he did incredibly well. When he came to see me, I wasn't part of his cardiology team so much, but he really wanted to exercise. So I gave him some insight on how to do that in a safe sort of a way, using a heart rate monitor and keeping the heart rate right where it belongs. Didn't we talk about this, I think, maybe the first night? And we talked about how to get it to 50%, so that's what we did for this fella James. And he has done very well. So that's been an encouragement to me. One of the hardest things I did, for those of you who understand the medical field, he wanted to try to come off all his medications. And one of the things that can be really risky to take away is the beta blockers, because they protect the heart. He said he really wanted to come off of it. Well, you never stop it quickly. We tapered way down. And then we stopped him for a week, and I had one of my colleagues over in the internal medicine department run a stress test on him. And he went clear through the stress test with no problem whatsoever. Even with all that blockage, it had completely, really reversed. Now, he's never had a follow-up angiogram. I would love to know what his arteries look like. He would like to know, but he doesn't want the event necessary to get the repeat on the angiogram, okay? But physiologically, all those new blood vessels that kind of going around the blockage has worked. And that's really an exciting sort of a thing, to be able to know that that can actually happen. He went all in, and that has something to do with what we're talking about tonight. So, creeping versus cruising. How fast are you going to change? Well, I suppose we could ask some questions. I'm on page 84 now, for those of you who, I think that's right, or was it? Yeah, 84. And on page 84, it says, what are the advantages of making sudden changes, and what are the disadvantages? So I am going to toss that question out to you, and I'm interested in what you think might make it easy or hard to make rapid changes. Taste. Anytime our taste changes, it's always a little bit of a problem. So getting used to new tastes can be a challenge. Good. Switch from cheeseburgers and French fries to raw food is a pretty big jump. And it may take some learning to actually, certainly the taste buds, but you might not even know how to prepare it. Now, that's kind of funny. My wife and I used to run the CHIP program, the first one we ran in the mountains of California. We had a few people. We weren't sure of the quality of their social standing, if you will. One couple came over. We lived in the mountains in what had been a cabin on about 5 acres. And one of I drove to work through the mountains. I might see 2 or 3 cars the whole, trip. And I went past the ranchette of the couple that actually showed up. And they were told for breakfast to eat a whole grain cereal. And if they, they want to stay away from the milk, it was okay for them to put a little fruit juice on it or something. I mean, they could do that. So when they came back the next night and were asked about it, they said, yeah, but it was kind of hard, but we did it. Well, describe it to us. Well, they got the multi-grain cereal, but they didn't know to cook it. And the only juice they had was lemon juice. So ignorance can make really quite a deal. And so learning about it, you may not know enough to actually make a rapid change. I worked for a while in a lifestyle center, and people would come and things were prepared for them. So some people may benefit from actually that kind of an immersion program because they can get some guidance on that and kind of learn. Anything else you can think of that might make it So you may have some more gut reactions of bloating and that type of thing from eating more fiber. That's a very good point. Your physiology may not feel quite right because it's different, although the benefits soon begin to roll. Yeah. You see the benefits sooner and much faster. Of course, probably the best example of that was what I experienced as the physician in a lifestyle center, right? And people would come in, foggy brain, you could hardly get them to pay attention when you're speaking for 5 minutes. After 3 days, their brains are awake, their eyes are open, and they can feel the difference. That's pretty dramatic. If 3 days you can have a complete turnaround. So it's really nice to see that happen. It also works the other way. And I heard this story multiple times too. They'd gone through the lifestyle program, they'd paid their thousands of dollars, they came out the other side, oh, I'm healthy, and then the story is, they're out shopping and there's, no food and it hasn't been planned for. And what do they do? Well, just this once won't hurt. And they grab, a hamburger or something like that. And immediately they feel sick. How could I ever stand this stuff? So there's an immediate feedback when the wrong foods are eaten, as well as the better or faster impact when you make the changes. Okay. So it may be the cost, especially when you first make the change. And I've had people tell me they had a real hard time throwing out that, that full venison that they had in the freezer, right? So it can be really difficult because your pantry is full of stuff that you paid good money for, and you don't want to waste it. At getting started first. Now, this I think particular concept was addressed a little bit later, but I'll go ahead and tell you now. The scientists have looked at it and they said, when you look at calories in, it ends up that it's cheaper to buy junk food. But when you look at meals and servings, a well-balanced meal, the plants are cheaper. And you think about it, beans and rice are a whole lot cheaper. You cook them yourselves, you add the salt, you season, and it's significantly less expensive. And that's been published in the literature. So we have both of those stories out there. Yes?
One of the things I do is when I look at something that's maybe a little more expensive but it's healthy, I think this is my medicine. It's going to keep me off of.
So she's thinking about food as medicine. So if you look at... It's probably better than supplements too most of the time, right? So you could look at supplements as your I guess. But you look at the whole food and you say, yeah, it's a little expensive, but it's my medicine. And it's got all kinds. The more you know about it, the easier it is to make those decisions. Yes?
We had neighbors who were not on our same health style, and we came across some food that we didn't want to eat, but somehow we by accident bought this food, and our neighbors were thrilled. So when it comes to the venison, get acquainted with your neighbor. Don't throw good food out.
Give it to your enemies. Yeah, it's kind of funny. As a physician in the office, often at Christmas time, the drug companies all come in with their boxes of See's chocolate. I kept for, 5 years, a 2-pound box of See's candy that was given to me by the cardiology group. And when those, the cookies and that type of stuff ended up in the lounge for the employees, I said usually very loud when I first saw it, "Okay, who's trying to kill my staff?" Right? So, yeah, it's kind of, for me, it's a little harder to ethically feel good about giving it to somebody, but I think that's a reasonable thing to do. Okay. When we think about the fast way, it's helpful to think about the lifestyle change, the therapeutic lifestyle change, as an induction phase. If someone gets cancer, the first thing they do is say, okay, we're going to give you an induction, and you get really a lot of heavy medication. You're likely to have more sickness from it. They try to minimize that as much as possible. So if you can look at dealing with your diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, obesity, the first phase is the induction phase. You're not being asked to live this way the rest of your life. The changes at first are a bit difficult, but as you make them, once you get past that, you can drop back into this kind of second phase or maintenance phase. So think of it like a cancer treatment. The lifestyle change may be difficult. One of the phrases that I've used in the past is, do you want your intensive care now or later? Right? If you're eating a lifestyle, having a lifestyle and a diet that is actually putting you at risk for a heart attack, wouldn't it be better to do your intensive care, your induction phase now, so you don't have to go into the intensive care unit later? Does that make sense? So that's been a helpful concept as well. And then you don't have to, as I mentioned before, you don't have to decide, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. This is going to be for a defined period of time. It's going to be 4 weeks, it's going to be 6 weeks. And then you can commit to that, and we often encourage people to do that, to make lifestyle changes with CHIP programs and others. Just commit to it for this program. You're putting the effort in, and then you can see how it works for you. You're not leaving your old life completely. You are experimenting. So, dramatic changes make it easier to feel the improvements, and you start to feel it right away. Even in our community programs, we saw that, not just in the inpatient. As people make the changes, it's nice to do it with a group, because as one person does the changes and they tell what happened, the people who are a little bit resistant say, well, maybe that could happen for me. And more people will do it. So it's an exciting thing to do, to be involved in that kind of a program. Okay, we're on page 85 now. What about making slow changes? What are the benefits for slow changes? What are the disadvantages for slow changes? Takes longer to see results. A little easier to slip back, and you probably won't notice just how bad the bad things are. Good.
There's more decisions to be made with the slow change. With the fast change, you just do it. All the decisions are made. You have a different grocery list, a different menu. When you're doing it slow, you keep slipping back.
Keeps going and going and going. Now, you're reminding me of a story. This is a fictitious story. I want you to know this is a fictitious story, okay? Because sometimes people get angry at me for telling this story. So Nancy has a brand new Doberman puppy. The cutest thing, licking her. She loves to hold it, licks her face. She just loves this puppy. And every day she enjoys this puppy, but she knows that sometime soon, Doberman puppies are supposed to have their tails cut off. And she just cannot bring herself to cut that tail off. So she began to nag a little bit, or ask anyhow, maybe whine, I don't know what all she was doing. Dad, will you please cut this tail off for me? Second, third night, Dad finally sighs and picks up the puppy and heads out to the woodshed. Gets the axe. Puppy's licking him in the face, just, happy and wiggling all over. And he says to himself, oh man, this is so cruel and so hard. I'll just cut off an inch at a time. I said it was fictitious, okay? But in many ways, taking it off all at once is easier because there is some pain with it, but it's gone quickly. And when you do it slowly, you've got more of this kind of process of decisions to make. Okay, I think that's very reasonable, and I've seen people make the dramatic changes, and I enjoy watching that happen. So, good.
When you do it slow, that means you are still compromising, little by little, some things that eventually you're going to have to cut out altogether. It hurts your willpower. It weakens your willpower.
So the willpower is weakened by it's not as strong, it's not making everything that needs to be done.
You make a decision, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to bite the bullet,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to do this. Your willpower is much stronger.
I love people who are stubborn, who like to do it this way, because it's a lot less effort for me as a physician too. If you'll just, at the Lifestyle Center, we say they came in, and when the doctor said jump, they said how high on the way up. You probably heard that with the military, right? So people were very motivated. They paid the money and they did it, and things happened quickly, so it was much more rewarding. And I've helped people in the office who are kind of slow in picking it up, right? And you're right. It really kind of strengthens or lengthens out the pain of the whole process, and it strains the willpower. I call it the won't power, but it's similar sort of a thing. Yeah.
Doing something is much better than doing nothing.
Yes. So moving in that direction is better than doing nothing. And every change you make that's positive makes it easier to make the next change. And some people do better one way, some people do better the other way.
As long as you don't ever forget what the mission is.
Yeah, don't forget the mission. That's exactly right. So there are barriers, I think, either way. As Sherry Flint mentioned in the little video, most of us have, 12, maybe 15 meals. One way to go about this is to say, this week or this month, you can do it either way, I'm going to identify the least healthy of my 15 meals. You just line them all up. Okay, which is the least healthy? What can I replace it with? And then you go hunting. And the whole family can be part of this process, right? You go hunting for, hey, what's a meal that we'll like that is new? You might find it Spanish, French. My niece really loves Ethiopian food. Places, the kind of the basic foods of the poor folks in different countries, spiced up nicely. Thai food can also be excellent, right? So start with the everyday meals and then make those changes kind of one meal at a time, and that can be 1 month or 1 week at a time, however it works. If you do that, well, then by a year and a half, at once a month, you've got really the main meals done. Once that's done, then start looking at holidays and eating out, and what can I do to kind of replace in those areas. And you might do them all at the same time. The more you do it, the more fun it is, and the more likely you are to do it. But if you can get started that way, that's a nice way to do it. The slow way benefits from small steps. So people will report when they make lifestyle changes a decrease, for example, in joint pain. You start getting away from the sugar and fat. Joints often feel better. Acid reflux is one of the first things that we see go away, especially as you decrease or eliminate the evening meal. Energy tends to go up, and of course, believe it or not, weight loss can be a side effect here, as the calories are actually going down. I have lectured in too many places. Did I tell you the story about the ophthalmologist who decided to change? No? It must have been somebody else. So good, I can tell it here. So I was lecturing. It was actually at a mission meeting in Mexico, and I was asked to provide health lectures for folks. Canvasback missions, anybody acquainted with Canvasback missions? Okay. So Canvasback missions, I was their medical director for a while, and it was one of their meetings down in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico. So I was asked to give health talks. So I talked about making lifestyle changes to plant-based diet, the benefit. Well, it so happened that a ophthalmologist and his wife were there. They had been supporters of the mission, and he had to stop working at a rather young age because of health concerns. He had his blood sugars were going up, his weight was going up, blood pressure was going up, and as he listened to me talk, he said, "I'm going to make changes," and his wife said, "We're going to make changes." So without really telling me, they went home and made the changes. And the next year, when we came back to our kind of annual meeting again, they told me the story, which was kind of interesting. They had 2 teenage kids at home. Have you ever tried to enforce plant-based nutrition on a therapeutic plant-based nutrition on teenagers? It's a little bit of a challenge often. So what they decided to do was Mama made Dad therapeutic meals, and then she asked the kids, "What would you like for supper tonight?" And they might say mac and cheese or pizza or whatever it was, and she would make it for them, and she would have the therapeutic meal for Dad, which she would eat along with him. And the kids asked, a couple to 3 days, "Why are you giving Dad different, why are you having different food than we are?" "Well, it's for Dad's health." And then a few days later, a week or so, "Could we try a little bit of that?" And so, "Sure, you can have it." And another week later, they came to Mom and said, "We're happy to eat what Dad's eating. You don't have to make something separate for us." I mean, that was kind of a slow and a fast way together, wasn't it? It wasn't forced on them, and it brought the family along. So they actually started to eat the same, and Dad's health improved, and the kids did well too. Good story, huh? A good idea about how to go about making that happen. And the slow way, making slow steps can be beneficial. Even teenagers will tell you that if they start eating correctly, that their brains clear up and their grades tend to improve. They feel better as well. So making changes, the fast or the slow way, that's kind of our question. So now let's spend a little more time on the health momentum principle. So the aim is the faster you transition to a whole food plant-based diet, the faster you'll experience the benefits. Great. Action, embrace rapid lifestyle change if you want to reap the quickest results. And of course that will depend on your situation, where your mind is, the people that you live with, etc. And I think this graphic was shown you already on the film. But it takes really what we've talked about in the previous 3 nights and puts it together in one place, right? So you have choices to make. You can choose things that are less healthy or more healthy. So as you move along, you can make those choices, make the right choices. There's the processed to unprocessed. The more unprocessed it is, closer it is to the way God made it. In essence, the better it is for you. And of course, it's better if you move away from animals towards plants. So we put those together, and we recognize that right upper quadrant is the sweet spot. If you're therapeutic, you're going all the way up in the corner, but you don't have to in order to be healthy. If you stop and think about this, you may want to ask yourself, where am I in my lifestyle choices? Are you in the area who's really into animal products and you want only the healthiest ones, right? Grass-fed beef, chickens that have been running free, etc. Are you standard American diet, which we already know is not a good place to be. Probably worse choices all the way around. Or are you a cracker cheese vegetarian? You know, are you choosing to avoid animal products but yet eating highly refined foods? So those are kind of the three places you're likely to find yourself, somewhere along those continuums. And as you make choices, you can move up to either the maintenance or therapeutic diet. Make sense to you? So that's a concept that we find helpful. So Sherry Flint talked about this already, the health momentum principle. Grocery store. Probably costs a little more if you decide to go all in fast, as we've already mentioned, but it does get cheaper over time. And that's encouraging, I think, to all of us. As I mentioned earlier, the science supports that. Plant-based diet is less expensive if you look by serving size. Certainly beans are a whole lot cheaper than beef, and the protein, calories protein is very similar. So that's much cheaper and helps out the planet as well if you're worried about that. Yes, ma'am?
What about these canned veggie substitutes?
So she's asking about these veggie substitutes. Let's see. You can buy them commercially, and I don't know, are you talking about like this Beyond Burger, that sort of a thing? Or are you talking about like Linkettes and, okay. I think that the way I look at them is mostly as transition foods. And we will, at our house, we will use them for example, for holiday meals. So there'll be an occasional sort of a thing, but they won't be the everyday meal. Now, you can make some really good bean veggie burgers. I know that's kind of what's been served to me over the last few months that I really enjoy, right? And they're not commercially done. They're done at home with like oats and black beans or some other kind of bean. And then, tomato and lettuce, and you, in essence, can eat similarly. To me, it's got to have onions, but, other people in the household don't think so. So you kind of fix those up, and your taste gets used to it. That's exactly right. But I consider those more transition foods. Now, why? It ends up, and we may have talked about this before, but a review is not a bad idea. When you take proteins that have been refined, even if they're plant proteins, they're amino acids, and they've lost much of their buffer. So they actually put more acidity into our body, which increases inflammation. When we eat a lot of them, especially when we eat a lot of them alone. Now, some of you may have heard of, let's see, what are these called? Soy curls. And then there's TVP, textured vegetable protein. Textured vegetable protein, I think, is probably the most refined. It's just the protein that comes from the soybean. Does that mean it's bad? Well, it's not as good as the whole soybean. If you eat it in a meal where you've got a bunch of other fruits and vegetables, then it's pretty much, it should be fine. But if you're eating a lot of refined proteins, not a good idea. A lot of people, especially those in the weight lifting business or who are trying to lift weights and get bigger muscles, will focus on a lot of protein, often to their deficit. It's those types of people who end up with kidney failure at the age of 35 or 40. So don't take as much protein as many people are recommending, let's put it that way. Let's see. Home kitchen, plan your menu by week. A menu can be a very helpful thing for you. You plan ahead, you shop by that menu. And of course, it's always best to avoid buying the things that you know are unhealthy. So if you do it well and plan ahead, it makes it much easier. We've already talked about one meal a month, new meal a month, for the slow way to look at it. Recipe substitutions. Maybe you've got some ideas on this. Would be happy to hear those. For example, you can replace oil in baked goods with applesauce, which is kind of hard for me to grasp, but where it's been done, it actually does very well. There's also, I've seen commercially available kind of oil replacement that's made out of prunes. You get a jar of it and you can use it. to kind of replace the oil. The soluble fiber acts a lot like oil when you're preparing it. Now, it will dry out a little faster, obviously, because oil doesn't dry out. Oil stays in. But for fresh, it's actually good. Here's one that I've tried that my wife does not like, okay? For gravy for your potatoes, if you took a can of navy beans, put it in the blender, whizzed it up, and added some seasoning, whatever seasonings you use for the gravy, you have, in essence, a high fiber, good protein gravy that you can put on things. So that might be helpful. Anybody else experimented with this that might like to share something they've learned about how to take an unhealthy recipe and make it healthier? Yes? Excuse me, what kind of flour? Cauliflower. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Uh-huh. And it's fresh, so the omega-3 fats in the nuts have not had a chance to really deteriorate. So that's would be a very good one. Has anybody ever tried the rice cauliflower? I know at Lifestyle Center of America, mashed potatoes can be really hard on the blood sugars. So what we did was we took mashed potatoes and then half cauliflower and mixed it all together, and you really couldn't tell the difference. But it cut down the glycemic index significantly, and people's blood sugars didn't go up as much, so insulin levels didn't go up. There was another hand. Yes?
So for sour cream,
Yeah?
it's not sour cream.
Yes?
I have a recipe that I've used for years from Country Life, and it's raw sunflower, a little bit of water,
So water and raw sunflower,
and onion and garlic,
onion, garlic,
and lemon juice,
and lemon juice,
and a little bit of salt.
and a little bit of salt. Does that have a soy base in it? You're using like a tofu base? Oh, interesting.
Raw sunflower.
Okay.
And you whiz it up, and it looks white colored.
Uh-huh.
And you can thin it for a salad dressing.
So it can be thin for a salad dressing, and it's white.
For your baked potato.
Or sour cream for your baked potato. My wife makes one where she uses, I think it's Morinu tofu, the silken kind, and then it's got a little bit of oil in it. I like the idea of using the nuts, and the lemon juice, and it makes a really good sour cream. We really enjoy it. Put it on some, let's see, what do they call that beet soup that the Russians like so much? Borscht. Put it on borscht. Put it on lentil stew. I mean, it's a really great way to add flavors. One of my friends, medical friends who's in this lifestyle business, says that the trick to eating plant-based is the sauces. Once you learn the sauces, you can do a lot, and it's nice, and the variety is there. So learn the sauces. Where did I learn that? Okay, well, that's what my friend says. I don't know if any of you know him or not. He's in Colorado now. So that was, we were together at Lifestyle Center of America, and that was what he always told people. Figure out the sauces, yeah. Tofu is, it's not considered a refined protein. And same with soy milk. It's pretty much just the whole bean, and it's been curdled for the tofu, and of course kind of ground up and put with water. But neither of those are really highly refined. Now, if you go to textured vegetable protein, which is soy, that is going to be highly refined. So there's rationale for using more of the less refined. Yes, ma'am?
So for the mashed potatoes or rice, do you ever suggest that people cook it, cool it, and then reheat it? Because that does help the glycemic index
Of the potatoes?
of potatoes and rice.
That's interesting. We actually experimented with oats at Lifestyle Center of America. We found when we put it in the refrigerator overnight and served the next morning, it made the blood sugar up go more rather than less. Yeah. So we tried to do the whole groat oats and just cook them on the morning. And for people with diabetes, best not to then hold it over.
So overnight oats are not good?
I don't know that they're not good. We were looking at oats morning, save it till the next day. So different things can make a big difference. I had a patient years ago in California who was checking his blood sugars, trying to control his diabetes. And he was frustrated because his blood sugar was going up over 200 after he had his oatmeal and strawberries in the morning. And he couldn't figure out why it was going up. Well, the first thing I told him was, look, you're not supposed to take it right after you eat. It only means something 2 hours later. But he didn't get that. He saw that blood sugar going up and he didn't like it. So rather than trying to fight him on that, I said, look, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get some wheat bran or oat bran and put it on top of your cereal. And then eat it in the morning and tell me what happens with your blood sugar. Then it only went up to 160. See, just by adding the fiber in, it can help kind of hold that blood sugar down. Now, not everybody here has diabetes, but I will remind you that your cholesterol is driven up by insulin, and your weight is driven up by insulin. So the trick of dealing with this whole metabolic syndrome, hypertension, obesity, diabetes, heart disease, is to get the insulin levels down. And you do that by exercising after you eat, okay? Because then your body needs less insulin. You get it by adding fiber to your meal and making sure kind of you're well hydrated. So that helps keep that insulin level down. Any other questions or ideas in this area? Yes?
Not exactly in the area, but in the question. When the vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, when you were wearing glasses, does that affect the ability to absorb vitamin D?
When you're wearing glasses, is that affecting your ability to absorb vitamin D? The vitamin D works in the skin, not the eyes, as far as where it's actually made. So the sun, that radiation will help your skin make the vitamin D. The effect in the eyes is more on the stimulation of serotonin, the happy hormone, and it works through the nerves. So your glasses may affect that, but not so much the vitamin D formation. Okay, a lot of people are confused on that. Okay, restaurants. Any new ideas on restaurants? I know we've talked a little about that already. One I hadn't noticed before was Sherry Flint saying you could go to the restaurant and ask for beans instead of the meat in whatever was being served. I've never really tried that. So that usually I just go for whatever the vegetarian option is or the vegan option.
It works a lot of times unless they have everything packaged.
It works unless everything is packaged. Yeah, if it's already packaged, it doesn't work very well. And sometimes they'll tell you, oh yeah, that's what it is, and then it's not, right? So they're just trying to get the customer out the door rather than dealing with you honestly. The principle is still there. The more refined it is, the less healthy it is. The question often comes up about something like the Beyond Burgers. And the truth is we don't know. We don't have all the evidence on that. But because it's highly refined with a lot of protein in it, it's likely to have some negative effects, although it's probably still better than taking the hamburger, right? Certainly we know from the science that the refined or meats are the biggest problem, like the hot dogs and those types of things that are really processed. Meats are the ones that increase our cancer risk in the colon, absolutely the worst. Okay, I hope that discussion has been helpful. Anybody else with a question or comment? Okay, let's move on to social support. Your social support makes a huge difference for you. we're encouraged here on this one to rate your social support, your personal social support in your mind here between 1 and 10. 1 would be no social support, and 10 would be maximum. Where do you put yourself? I put myself probably 9 to 10, pretty high. That may not be true for you. The next question is, are you satisfied with your social support system? If not, what can you do to strengthen your network? Did you say buy new friends? Oh, find new friends. Okay. I wasn't sure that I heard that correctly. I'm not sure real friends can be bought. Any other ideas? In order to have friends, you need to be friendly, so that's helpful. And for some of us who tend to be introverts, it may be easier to sit at home rather than actually get out and be friends. I think church is a good social place, don't you? We certainly meet people. Certainly, I kind of grew up within the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Not sure how it's been for each of you, but wherever I went, I would go to the church, and all of a sudden I had friends, right? I mean, it was very quick. We enjoyed that connection really in many places around the world. Since I grew up a bit as a missionary's kid, we went to many places and always immediately, once we went to church, had friends. So church can be very good, a place to kind of strengthen your social network. Clubs might be helpful for that as well. If you have friends who share like interests, you can develop them that way. If you're making lifestyle change, it would be nice to have a group of people who are actually making those changes as well. We do, she says. Okay. The first Thursday night of the month, I think. Okay, 6:30, the fireside room. So y'all are welcome. Y'all come now, you hear? Okay. So we're fixing to come. Okay, well, we are in the South, so I guess fixing is a reasonable thing to do. So friends, you can join on walks. I had one person who was having a hard time getting their exercise in there in California. And in order to get her exercise in and to get some socializing in, she and her daughter, who lived on the East Coast, coordinated their exercise time, and they would talk on the phone while exercising. It was a good way to stay connected, right? So it's interesting how you can kind of mix these things up. An accountability partner, someone who you're working together with, who can ask you the question, how did it go? I won't identify them as a, father confessor, but, sometimes it's helpful to have somebody to be accountable to. It helps you, I'm going to have to, so I won't this time. I mean, it can just make it easier, right? Family can be a good support system, part of your support system. You can ask them to support you, as my friends did. Just start doing it, and then as they expressed interest, got them involved, and invite them to join you. You can work with a health coach, and there are more of those around. You can actually be certified as a lifestyle medicine coach, so that is available now. And I was working with a lady who's was a major force in moving this whole coaching business throughout the United States. And she and I flew with some others to Baltimore and went to CMS, where Medicare is actually done. And we talked to them about the importance of coaching. So we actually got the AMA to make, or she did, she got the AMA to make the code so it can actually be billed for. So all of that stuff, we recognize that health coaches can be extremely helpful. Health coaches are supposed to help you find your own goals and help you get there, rather than, they're not really health educators. So they can help you kind of talk through and think, and they can be a social support as well. Now, I personally don't like the idea of having to pay for someone to help me because I've got my own support, but some people need it, and especially in cities where there's not a lot of social support, that can be very helpful. There are doctors' offices who are including such people within the practice to help with the lifestyle changes. That's a common thing when you see a doctor who's practicing lifestyle medicine. Let's see. Online groups. There are some very interesting online groups for recipe sharing, and you may have seen some of those websites. There are some that focus on whole food plant-based. I've never used them, but I know that they're out there. You probably have to go looking for them. One that I have enjoyed a lot, because I come from a more scientific standpoint, you might enjoy it as well, is a website called, and actually a newsletter, so you can sign up for it. It's called nutritionfacts.org. And that's a great place to go. I don't agree with everything that Dr. Greger shares, but whenever I have a question, I always go there first, and then I go to the scientific literature. Of course, I'm coming at it probably a little differently than you would, but I think most of what he has to say is excellent, and he introduces you to the science, so you know it's not being pulled out of the air. You're actually seeing the science. Nutritionfacts.org. That's right, and he's kind of a funny fella, and I have really enjoyed listening to him. He's spoken often at the American College of Lifestyle Medicine meetings. And one of his lines is, and we just don't know until it put to the test. And then he brings up the latest study that shows exactly that there is a randomized controlled trial that this really does work. So that may be helpful for you. It's kind of fun to share with others as well. It might be something you would do, for example, on your monthly programs, is to pick 2 or 3 of them and just present them and then talk about them, because we learn from each other, and just that sharing can make it easier. The more you understand about why you're doing what you're doing, the easier it is to do. I don't know, have you discovered that at all? When I discover some of the problems with refined foods, for example, when I discovered about cheese and what it does to cancer, casein turns on cancer genes, take it away, it turns off cancer genes. I mean, why do I want to play that game? And so that was easy. When I look at cheese now, I see the mice they did the studies on. I say, no, I don't need the cancer risk. I'm too old for that, right? So the more you know, the easier it is. And so keep learning, and that learning can be fun. Anybody ever watched the film Forks Over Knives? Yeah? Several of you have. So the idea of that film is, do you want to treat your heart disease with a fork or with a knife, right? So you want your chest cracked open, or do you want to change the way you eat? And that's a whole, what would one call it? They've got all kinds of products. I had one patient who needed to lose weight and manage his diabetes, and his wife was a nurse in the hospital, and she paid for him to go on a forks over knife cruise, okay? And we couldn't get his weight off. His blood sugars were kind of up. When he came back, he didn't come back for like 2 to 3 years, and he showed up in the office, and I recognized his chart, but I didn't recognize him. He'd gone from, 200 pounds down to very much normal weight. His BMI was probably, I don't remember exactly what it was, but his BMI was probably somewhere around 23, 24. He said, Doc, I feel great. And just being immersed in that kind of culture and having the support with the recipes, with the interaction with the web support had worked very well for him. So Forks Over Knives is another place that you may be interested in going. And of course, we've been talking about working with Eat Plants Feel Whole, which is the kind of connection, the group of services, of sources to try to help people make the change. I was glad that Advent Health was eager to make such a thing to help people. That was a big encouragement to us. Good. Okay. Finding your why. Do you know why you're doing this? And I like where the little film said that it's a good idea to think about that every morning. Certainly, at least I spend time in the morning making a connection with my Heavenly Father, remembering that He loves me, and then remembering why I'm living here and what my job is, right? How I fit in, how He fits in. As we do that, it helps us improve and remember our why. Our why in life is not just to get happiness, if you will, to find pleasure. It is to actually make the world a better place and to prepare for God's kingdom. So, God's kingdom in heaven. So, look at the big picture. Think about lifestyle. Don't think so much about diet. Did you know diet is actually an acronym? It stands for Dare I Eat That. That's what they all say, okay? A diet is something you end. A lifestyle is something you carry on through. So that's an important thing. Your focus might be spending time with grandkids. Let's make this disease go away so I can start moving again and spend more time with the kids. It might be wanting to get back to nature. I know many of my friends have gotten a little bit decrepit and they're a little scared to even go out on a trail in nature because they're afraid they're going to fall. Or the knees are giving out. There's so many things that begin to go wrong. Many of them don't have to go wrong, and many of them can be reversed or fixed with a lifestyle. You can get better, almost always. It's about the journey. It's not about the destination. So, take some time to think about your why every morning. Okay, so that was in essence the fourth section. Now we're going to try to move on to the next one. The strategies for review, they're on page 91. But I want to kind of jump on here quickly and move to the Eat Plants, Feel Whole action plan. Those of you that have your books, it's probably worthwhile kind of going there so you can learn at least a little bit about it. It's to help you on your journey. You might want to do it with a friend, but this is a tool that we put together to try to help people like yourself. So let's see, what page am I actually on? Okay, let's see, that should be page 95. I went too far with that one, I sure did. There it is, 95. So how does it work? This is a point system. We like to look more on the positive than on the negative. Instead of the don't. We like to look on the do. And so we set up a point system so you could try to improve each day and make it all a little bit better. The things that we want to look at, of course, might include kind of our exercise and other kind of lifestyle components, as we've talked about. It includes both a daily summary and a weekly summary. And those are the kind of pages that are up there on the screen. What are we looking at? As you do this, you may want to think about different kind of biological things to look at and the behavioral things. One of the things we borrowed from Dr. Michael Greger, with his permission, was this daily dozen, the things that can help you be healthy. So you get points for kind of working on the daily dozen. You might already have, or you may want to purchase a smartwatch that will tell you about your heart rate so you can kind of monitor things. You might even want to talk to your doctor about maybe getting your cholesterol done before you make the change so you can see how it's going to change. You may want to measure your weight. So as you start to measure biological things, be careful that you make your goals reasonable. And our recommendation is never make your weight loss goal more than 20 pounds. Try to keep it less than 20 pounds. So once you get there, you can say, okay, now we're going to add another 10 or 15. That's fine, but it needs to be reasonable and something you can actually get to in a reasonable amount of time. Does that make sense to you? So don't panic with the variations. Science tells us people tend to do better if they weigh on a daily basis. Some people don't like to do that. Just read of a new study, the most effective, I guess, Dr. Greger reported on it. My wife was watching Dr. Greger and then brought it to me, so we listened to it together. So the most effective program, they're weighing themselves 3 times a day. Okay? So you do it morning, noon, and then bedtime. And it reminds you kind of what we were trying to do. Now, this program was a very challenging one. It's no longer functioning interesting, but it's the most effective one. Over, I think it was 3 months' time, the average weight was something like 40-pound weight loss. But it was, you only get one chance. You can't back out and come back. This is it, okay? Completely free. But you always had to go to the meetings whenever you were in town. And their average weight loss was in the 40 pounds in the 3 months, which is pretty impressive. So, but it had that requirement. So it kind of self-selected for stubborn people. And stubbornness is a great tool when you're making lifestyle change.
So what I gather is that they would weigh themselves before they ate.
Yeah. First getting up in the morning.
As a reminder of, hey, I don't need to eat this extra second meal.
Okay, so remind themselves then that for the second meal, so at the beginning of the day, that's when you're most likely to be dehydrated. Of course, then you start to eat. I don't know about you, but stool can be actually pretty heavy. Kind of late December, I had my colonoscopy. We're supposed to have these things. And the prep, I lost 3 pounds. I mean, there's that much of that stuff in there somewhere, right? So I like to weigh after I've flushed. That's when I generally weigh myself every morning, because later in the day it tends to go up, it tends to move. So I feel better at that standard. But they're doing it at lunchtime and then at night, so they can see exactly what's happening. And apparently it's good biological feedback for them. Kind of interesting. Good. Oh, I've written down here, scales can lie. You need to know that if you're going to step on the scale every day, they can lie to you. Because as your lifestyle changes, your physiology changes. And your fat mass may be going down while your muscle is going up and the scales aren't moving, right? So don't be discouraged by that. Keep track of your where the belt goes as well. So keep track of your waist circumference. How are the clothes feeling? Are they looser? Then it's working even if the scale isn't. Okay? It's not moving where you'd like it to go. Okay. Here's another important point. Especially if you're focused on weight loss, and not everyone should be for sure, the health benefits come long before the weight starts to fall off. When you make the lifestyle changes, the inflammation and the fat start to leave your body quickly, but the scales and some of the other things may take a longer time. In order to regain your health, you don't have to lose the 20 or 50 or 100 pounds. You just need to be moving in that direction. And when moving in that direction, the health benefits are there. There's a decrease in inflammation, you feel better, your brain's better, acid reflux there's just so many things that are better. So you don't let the scales lie to you. It's okay to step on them. I step on them, I think mostly to make sure it's not going up, right? To remind me what I'm doing. Healthy living is the major goal, and so that's where you should go. Another thing you may want to look at is the resting heart rate. People without heart problems do better with it when it's closer to 60 beats per minute rather than closer to 100. People who are older and have trouble with slow heart rates, if you're being treated by a doctor for heart problems, you probably better go with the recommendations of the doctor rather than that for more the general population. In general, having good physical exercise, good fitness, and a low resting heart rate is good. But if your heart rate gets so low you're fainting, we don't want to fall and break a hip. Not a good idea. So following the heart rate can be very helpful to know how you're improving, because that heart rate will come down. That can have its bad side, by the way, healthy living. I've had my cataracts fixed and this colonoscopy a couple of times. The first time, and with the colonoscopy and the cataracts, I spoke with an anesthesiologist, and I said, look, my resting heart rate runs around 48 beats per minute. Please don't give me that mouth-drying medicine that make my heart go faster. And every time they do it, I think it's because the nurse practitioners are working by protocol rather than brain. And so they just put it in, and then I have a dry mouth for 3 days. The last time they did it, they listened to me, and everything came out fine. So avoid harmful substances. Some you know are harmful, some you may not. I've had patients, for example, a fella come in with neuropathy in his legs, actually, and his hands as well, and wondering why he had this. He was thin as a rail, actually, from the Caribbean. And certainly didn't have diabetes. Where was this coming from? So I checked him because I was suspicious, and he had a very high mercury level. Well, fish has a lot of mercury in it, and he loved his fish. Every day he had fish. So we said, you can't do that anymore, and his neuropathy went away. And he showed up the next year with the same problem again, back on fish, and his neuropathy had returned. So mercury can do that. Another patient I had with neuropathy was actually arsenic from the well water. Interestingly, his wife didn't have it, but he did. And we checked her arsenic level as well, and hers was also high. So we had to kind of make those adjustments. So you'd like to get rid of the things that are not healthy for you. Tobacco, I think everybody is aware of that. Quit the tobacco. You may remember, I know when I was younger in grade school, my father was in his surgical training at Forsyth Memorial Hospital in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and described coming down the elevator with one of the patients who said to him, "Are you one of the doctors who quit smoking?" And my dad said, "No, I'm one who never started," right? But so many doctors were actually recommending it years ago. But now we all seem to understand that it's not good. It's always better for you because of its effect on cancer, your lungs, and COPD, etc. To just stop that. That'll make you healthier. It improves the oxygen to your brain. Your whole body works better when you're not putting the toxins in. Alcohol is one that there are a lot more questions on. I mean, these both kind of coffee and alcohol are ones that are socially acceptable. The World Health Organization has defined alcohol as kind of there's no safe level. Just avoid it completely. Even when the original kind of recommendations about alcohol came out, the American Heart Association said, if you drink, do not drink more than 2 drinks a day, right? I think it's 2 drinks a day for males, and I think 1 drink a day for females. So it is a toxin. It does negatively affect our body. And one of the nasty things about alcohol is that it's liquid calories. When you have soda, you have water as the liquid, and then the sugar is put in. When it's alcohol, the alcohol has calories. So the liquid itself has calories. You get a lot more calories in faster. So that's a good reason to avoid it. Some people will use alcohol for sleep because they want to calm down. The bad news is that it works helps you go to sleep for an hour, but then the second hour, it's waking up. Your immune system is trying to wake you back up, so it doesn't work well for sleep either. Caffeine is a little different challenge here. We have a lot in the news about coffee being good for you. I will remind you that coffee is a bean. It's got magnesium and potassium and a lot of soluble fiber, which is going to come out in the coffee. So when science looks at at coffee, they say overall benefit. But most of the population 97% is not getting the recommended amount of potassium. So this is adding something that the population is missing. Magnesium is really low. 50% for the whole population. 80% of people over 65 are not getting the recommended daily allowance for magnesium. So coffee actually, the beans actually bring that benefit. Caffeine, on the other hand, when you look at that, you end up, it's a stimulant. During pregnancy, it increases stillbirth. It's really slow to leave the body, so that cup of coffee you have in the morning, when you're ready to go to bed at night, about a fourth of it is left, unless you're a fast metabolizer, and there are some people who are fast metabolizers. People will tell me, well, I'm only taking a cup a day. Oh, good, it'll be easy for you to stop it. And then they start to see the withdrawal when they don't. I mean, they get the headache the next morning when they're not getting it. And indeed, some good scientific papers out there have said it looks like what's happening with coffee, the morning coffee, is that it's simply removing, after you're on it for years at a time or weeks at a time, it's simply removing the withdrawal when you take it. So the benefits for increased focus and those types of things are gone when it becomes a daily sort of a thing. So I would say, get away from it. It just makes sense. Caffeine tends to shorten the telomeres, which are associated with living longer. And so if you're going to do coffee in the morning, I would suggest the decaffeinated coffee. Trying to move in that direction, mix half and half, coffee and decaffeinated, and move yourself off of it. You can do that. Okay, so those are things that are actually, we're encouraging you to kind of keep track of. How do you get started? Talk to your doctor if you're going to have a really bad medical condition, and make sure you get some following. There are benefits for people who have no serious health injuries. There are benefits for people who have serious health injuries as health diseases. So those people should probably make more quickly the changes for the better benefits. So whatever it is for you, this may help you along that. So you've got the therapeutic phase for days 1 to 18. Then you have a maintenance phase for what goes on. So page 99, I think, gives you a little more of this information. So getting started, there's the therapeutic phase, kind of in the middle. What to do: include fruits, legumes, vegetables, nuts, seeds in your regimen. Avoid free fats. Instead, use moderately high-fat foods such as avocados, olives, and nuts. Free fats are those that have been separated from the food in which they were stored. In other words, liquid oils. What not to do: don't give up. It takes a few days to get your taste buds adjusted to this type of eating, but stick with it. In a few days, your body will adapt. And then there's some other things for you to consider on the kind of bottom of that page. The maintenance phase is beyond that. What to do? I'll read that. That's the top of page 100. Keep eating a lot of minimally processed plant foods depending on your health. You may be able to add small amounts of fats and sugars into your diet. It's always better to choose oils as they occur in nature, in nuts, avocados, and olives. However, a small amount of minimally processed oil, as in cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil, is reasonable. But even the healthiest fats still contain 9 calories per gram, which translates into 120 calories per teaspoon. You can still gain weight on good fats. If you choose to include animal products using fish and poultry, introduce them during the maintenance phase, but only use them as condiments or flavoring. Better to have ground beef with your beans or a little flecks of fish in the soup than to have the whole steak. That would be a mistake. I said that before, didn't I? Okay. What not to do: don't quit. You've finished the 18 days, stick with it, whole food, plant-based diet. And I think you'll see those two kind of compared on page 101. I hope you'll find that helpful to help summarize for you. Of course, the seasonings, the water, the meals, the exercise are present on both ways, fast or slow. So the action pages start for us, let's see, on think page, what did I write here? I think we're looking at page 110 and page 111. And so you'll see it there. I'll kind of go over that first one. You see the top one says fruit, 1 cup fresh or frozen fruit. So you see there's 3 squares and then there's 4 circles. So the 3 squares are that's the healthy. You know, they say 3 squares, right? I mean, it's a square meal. Okay. The circles are extra credit. So you can kind of get yourself points each day by going down through. So berries, 1 cup fresh or frozen. Whole grains, nuts. So here's those things that are good for you. Beans, 1/2 cup cooked. Leafy greens, vegetables, vitamin D, and B12 are included in there. So you'll get points for taking those as well, although no extra credit for taking more. Meals, number 3 meals, and if you do 2 meals a day and skip the evening meal, for most people, I'd give you that 3rd one easily. Social, did you eat with others? Did you eat without electronic distractions? I mean, this is trying to improve our social interaction, right? And then last food at least 3 hours before bedtime. So that's also placed in there. Water, 6 to 8 glasses. We've talked about that. Sleep, 7 to 9 hours. There's the exercise. Both moderate and vigorous are offered there, and you can get extra credit on those. And then there's the ones that are to avoid harmful substances at the end. You get points if you've been able to do that. So total the squares, total the circles, put your weight down and your heart rate. And then at the bottom you can see there's some journaling. Now you'll have to have your own journal for that. So write down 3 things that you're thankful for, no repeats in at least 28 days. Describe 2 to 4 intentional acts of kindness that you did today. And a journal about healthy things you ate today. Why did you choose those foods, and how did they make you feel? So this can help us with our changes. Does that make sense to you? So this is kind of the short version. I didn't know how many people would care or would like them, but there is a more involved, where there's actually 2 pages for each day. A book called the Eat Plants Feel Whole Journal, which has 2 full 18-day cycles in it, which may be helpful for people who think that the journaling may be beneficial for them. If you turn back to, let me see, I'll find this page. I think it would be 139, and it doesn't have a number on the bottom, so it's kind of a page back from About the Authors, which is on 141. You'll see that there is a place for you to add things up weekly for 4 weeks to see how many points you got. So that's kind of a review with a weight at the beginning and a weight at the end. The book at the end of each week has a full journaling for the people who may find that journaling helpful. Any questions? Yes. Yes, that's what I was trying to describe, was the Eat Plants Feel Whole journal for those of you who would really like to get into the journaling. There's room for 2 people to do it at the same time, because there's 2 18 days, or you can do them kind of serially rather than parallel. It also has about half of the book is text as well, so you may find that helpful for you. So what do you think you're going to actually do? Be really nice to do a commitment, and I think the commitment is on page 107. This gives you an opportunity to actually write down a commitment to actually do something. I would encourage you to do that. Making a commitment to make a change can be beneficial for page 107. You write your name in, commit to starting at the 28-day Eat Plants Feel Whole action plan on whatever day you decide to start. Because I want to, that's your why, what you're doing. I will track my progress daily and weekly on the action plan pages at the back of the participant's guide, or in the journal if you'd like. So that's my encouragement to you, to make a decision, to actually do something, and we're giving you an opportunity to do that. Any questions or comments?
Thank you for coming.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for enjoying this time. I assume you're enjoying it. For sharing this time with me, which I have enjoyed significantly. And I trust things go well for you. I'm glad that you have a follow-up program and you can continue to encourage each other. Would love to hear stories. Always love stories of people who have made the changes and are feeling better.
This is not original with me, but somebody famous lived by the quote that if you don't have food be your medicine, medicine will be your food.
Okay. So make food your medicine. Is that right?
If you don't, then medicine will be your food.
Then medicine will be your food. Okay. I'll take that. I think that's a twist on Aristotle in some way. You know, let food be your medicine. Very good. Well, thank you all. It's been a pleasure. Maybe we'll close with a word of prayer. Father in heaven, we've been learning about how our bodies work. Please encourage us and help us by your Spirit to make the changes so we can have the health that you would have us have. We recognize that life has an end point and we all die unless you come to take us home. And we want to be healthy and active for you, helping you with your work as long as possible. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your Spirit and for your wisdom and power today. In Jesus' name, amen. Class dismissed. Thank you.